Oh boy, here we go. A few weeks ago I had somewhat of a melancholic feeling for a side of mine I haven't seen or felt in a while. I would call it a creativity revival? Yes, I had the idea of once again creating videos. Not that I had done it a ton in the past, but either way, I just had the feeling to do it again, but with some sort of a rebranding of my channel. I'm from Germany, and I guarantee you one thing. You will hear that in the way I talk. But I always wanted to try creating videos in English. And recently, the YouTube algorithm just recommended a video to me called DaVinci Resolve Fusion 18 für Anfänger Tutorial, which means beginner's tutorial, from the German YouTuber Nielsen1489. Link in the description for all you German people out there. And it got me interested in the free video editing software DaVinci Resolve. And so the endless rabbit hole experience of video editing tutorials began. This video will be my first attempt in creating something that I'm really passionate about: video games. It has always been my favorite hobby. So since I first got hooked by it back in around 1997, it has become one stable thing I always could rely on in my life. And I guess the journey started with Link's Awakening on the original Game Boy. So, what better way to rebrand my channel and start over than a list about my favorite Zelda games? The Legend of Zelda has many great titles in their game series, and there are more than a few that hold a special place in my heart. I even got a little tattoo of the Triforce on my forearm. So, without further ado, let's get started. Skyward Sword. The first game in the series, chronologically. I never owned a Wii myself, so I borrowed it from a friend of mine to test it. And with the console came Skyward Sword, the only game I managed to play at the time I had the console. But it was the only game I needed. It was, once again, another Zelda title, so I played it for hours and hours each and every day. The fact that it was one of the few games which used the Motion Plus got me interested in how it would be implemented in a typical 3D Zelda game. And I have to say, for me, it was pretty fun to play around with. It would be a lie to say I wasn't frustrated by the controls a few times while playing, but it sort of clicked for me after a few hours. The best way to describe the game itself is it's okay. Yes, there are many good things in it that I really enjoyed. To name a few, the beetle item, which was a fun item to use, Sky Islands as your main hub area because it had a certain kind of charm to it, or some bosses like Collectus or Demise, which were great fights on their own in my opinion. But it had also more than a few flaws. Why on earth do I have to fight the imprisoned 3 times? Why is there a rather poorly implemented stamina bar? Why are they trying to make Fi, I don't know how to pronounce it, the new Navi by making her intervene countless times? And why do I have to backtrack so many times in each and every corner of the map? Story-wise, it was also just okay. But I have to say, the first Zelda character in the series was given a good personality. I also enjoyed seeing that Groose had a good character development during the game. Overall, a fun game, but with some major flaws, which, by the way, were partially fixed with the Switch version. But either way, my 10th place. The first 2D entry in this list, the Minish Cap. To place the Minish Cap in the 9th place feels kind of wrong, but at the same time fitting as well. In everything I like about the game, I also find something which bothers me a little bit. The overworld map of Minish Cap is well thought through, but abysmally small compared to other 2D titles. The main hub, Hyrule City, implemented sort of a mini storyline within it and combined it with the shrink mechanic, but you always had tiny bits of it after each section of the game, so you have to wait to progress. The Kinstone system worked for me in a way that I always got excited seeing an NPC with a bubble above his head, but the rewards, well, I could go on and on with that, but the truth is, I enjoyed playing Minish Cap when I was younger. To experience the world as a shrunken Link and suddenly raindrops became a danger to be aware of, and a rock could be someone's house. It had a certain charm I would describe as wholesome. Vati was an interesting villain and Eslo a great companion. The dungeons were cool and the items in the game were fun to use. A solid 9th place in my list. Wind Waker, or as I remember it, the cel-shading drama in the history of Zelda games. Coming from the N64 titles, this game was weird to look at. To be honest, I was expecting something else. It was bright, it was colorful, yeah, it was, well, weird. But I was young, with a burning passion for video games, so I swallowed this first feeling of disappointment and I got a fantastic game. I remember having a blast while listening to the soundtrack of the game, while adventuring to so many islands, feeling like a stripped down version of a pirate whilst reading in treasure, or helping so many folks in this world. Some of the tracks from Wind Waker are to this day songs I occasionally listen to whilst playing other games or just chilling. The title screen music, Windfall Island, or my favorite of the OST, Dragon Roost Island. But, yeah, there's always a but. There are some things that did annoy me a bit, like the shard hunt or the fact that the ocean sometimes seems a little bit too vast. In my memory, these things were manageable, so Wind Waker lands on the spot of the 8th place. A Link to the Past. To be honest with all of you, I played A Link to the Past many years after its release. That's not the weird part, given the fact that when it was first released in 1992, the world had to wait one more year for me to get born. The weird part is that I played it in 2019, which was a very tough time for me. I was extremely struggling mentally and had many things going on in my private life. The reason why I'm telling you all of this is the following. I know I played the game. I think I even finished the game. And I know I really liked the game. But I have next to zero memories from that time. The reason why I'm even putting it on this list is that even though I have only fractions of memories due to my condition at the time, I know that it kind of helped me getting through that time period in my life. And that's the beauty and the magic of some games. To be so comforting that even though you use it as a way to flee from everything, it gave you exactly what you needed. So maybe I will disappoint you with this placement. I mean, a game I can't probably remember above Wind Waker. But the feeling I had while playing it, the bittersweet feeling, is something which stuck with me and places Link to the Past on the 7th place. The last title of the first half of this video and a fan favorite for many of you folks out there. Twilight Princess. To place it so low on this list may seem a little bit unfair to some of you, but this is my list and yours will be different from mine, and that's okay. And I can assure you the next games were a little bit harder for me to place in an order. Let's get started with the art style and its change of direction compared to its predecessor Wind Waker. Twilight Princess tried to listen to a big portion of the community who said that Wind Waker was a little bit too cheerful and cartoonish. Like the series was aging, so was the community. Many of them grew up with titles like A Link to the Past, and they were hoping to get a new title which also tries a more serious attempt to the classic Zelda formula. And with Twilight Princess, the community got what they wanted. Everything had a more realistic style, more mature topics, and felt a little bit rough. Me personally, I admired the game for what it was. An adventure on a bigger scale, but in a familiar world. The overworld was well thought through. Hyrule Field, even though a little bit bleak, was filled with things to do and to explore. The dungeons were pretty good, and the implementation of some items brought with it a ton of fun. To name two of them, the double claw shot and the spinner. Midna is, to this day, the single best companion someone could wish for in a Zelda game. She had an interesting personality, and you cared for her inside the game settings. Story-wise, she and the Twilight Realm just made sense. To come to a conclusion, I think if someone who never played a Zelda game before would ask me what game I would recommend to experience the classic Zelda formula, I would say try out Twilight Princess. It combines everything the classic Zelda experience should grant you in a kind of modern look. It is the safe bet under the Zelda games, and my 6th place. Now we enter the second half of this list with the most recent title of the series, Tears of the Kingdom. Oh yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. Long anticipated and speculated by the community. And for a long time known under the name Breath of the Wild 2. And you know what? That seems like a fitting name to me. But don't get me wrong. I think this is, for the most part, a good thing. It is like saying, today we order pizza too. You expect pizza, you get pizza, but maybe with, I don't know, cheese all over the bottom of it? Nothing to complain about. But at the same time, it was not the influential title some hoped it to become after Breath of the Wild. But with Tears of the Kingdom came a mechanic which brought out a little engineer in all of us. To build something out of twigs, stones, and pretty much anything else you can imagine. The builds of some people are amazing. At one point I saw a video of a person who built a freaking tank in the game. And the fact that you could combine items and weapons was a fun thing to play around with. For any other aspect of the game, it was more of the same. More open world exploration with 2 more layers of it, more dungeons, more fighting in the same way, more Korok hunts, more side quests, more, well, Breath of the Wild. And I do like the dungeons in the game more than the Titans in Breath of the Wild. The build-up to it was something else. Sure, in Breath of the Wild you could see the Titans from nearly across the entire map. This was awesome. But personally, I think Tears of the Kingdom managed to implement the dungeons in a better way. For example, the first time the fog opened up around the airship near Rito Village was mind-blowing for me. Story-wise, I think it was okay. Not particularly a step up from Breath of the Wild, but I enjoyed seeing old faces in a new setting and also getting bits and pieces of the past. It was decent, but in a good way. But overall, a worthy 5th place. Alright. I'm really curious about your reaction to my 4th place. I already mentioned it in my intro to this video. I think Link's Awakening was one of the first ever video games I played in my life. My journey began by grabbing our old our old Game Boy, which was mostly used by my older brothers or sister, or more than a few times my mom, the best Tetris player I personally know. To be fair, the only game she managed to comprehend and master. Looking at her while playing with me Mario Kart on the N64 got me thinking if it is the same person. On one hand, the master in Tetris. 2-minute rounds, not even breaking a sweat, managing bricks falling at the speed of an F-35 jet. And on the other hand, a woman who physically turned the controller like a steering wheel instead of using the joystick to change direction. Well, where was I? Oh yeah, Link's Awakening. I played the original one, no DX or Switch version. And it was truly an enlightenment for younger me. It was an adventure, and through the eyes of a kid, everything seemed possible. You start the game not knowing what happened, how you got on the beach, not knowing if you even belong to this island. And you got found by Marin. She takes you in, took good care of you, but soon after you venture out in this world and begin to visit temples, fighting monsters, learning songs, helping others, and slowly revealing the fate of the island you inevitably have to give up. Even though I was a kid with next to no understanding of what to feel about certain fates, I felt kind of uneasy as soon as I found out that the whole island I keep experiencing new adventures on would have to find an end by waking up the windfish. But yeah, many good memories of this game. The rafting minigame, the singing frog king, playing the instruments in front of the big egg and hearing the magnificent Ballad of the Windfish for the first time. There are so many things I could add to this list, but let's just say it is a great memory from my past. The first Zelda title I've ever played, and on top of that, one of the entryway games for me to the world of video games. For these reasons alone, Link's Awakening deserves to be in my top 5. Now let's get serious. There are only 3 games left to place. And for most people who are familiar with such lists, it should be clear that Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time will be placed within these 3 places. But in what order? And there's also one more game to be placed here. We'll get to that. Let me reveal my place 3. Breath of the Wild. Let me just say, what a ride. What a ride this game was. I'm no release date Switch buyer. I'm not even within the first year after release Switch buyer. No, I bought my Switch I think in 2021 or in November to December 2020, whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is the following: me waiting to play this masterpiece of a game. Imagine, you are a fan of the series, big time, and you need to wait to play one of the greatest games ever, and then combine it with the task not to view any footage of the game or get spoiled by whatever. It was tough as hell, but I managed to stay strong. I just couldn't afford a Switch around that time. As I mentioned while talking about my 7th place, A Link to the Past, I had a rough time period where my life was kind of shitty. And so it speaks for itself that I also had no money at this time. So I had to wait. No biggie. Well, needless to say that as soon that I had the possibility to play Breath of the Wild, I took the chance and I played it for days. It was everything I hoped for and more. The open world is, to this day, one of the best ways to introduce the concept of an open world to a player. It is a world, not a series of map markers and pop-ups which reminds you every 3 seconds that there is the 5th variant of a collectible near you, or that you need to do 5 more lookout towers to get an in-game skin for your gloves or whatever. No, it is you and your own way of exploring this massive map. To explain to all of you what this game means for me, I need to explain my style of gaming. When I was younger, I could fully let my mind sink into a game and explore every little bit out of it. I kind of lost this habit over the years. As I got older, I involved myself more and more in multiplayer games, which I played with my friends. To name some obvious titles: Minecraft, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, Stardew Valley, Don't Starve Together, Valheim, and so on. But I lost my interest in single-player games. I couldn't sink my time in these kind of games anymore. But with Breath of the Wild, the single-player spark was lit up once again. I sank hours and hours in this game. I got home from work, Breath of the Wild. Oh, it's the weekend. Nice. 2 days of Breath of the Wild. What got me going was the world, as I mentioned before. Because the world is freaking awesome. You think to yourself, oh, there's a dense forest. I need to get over there and check it out. Boom! Memory cutscene. Oh, this mountain pinnacle looks a little bit higher than all of the others around it. Boom! A Korok seed. Oh, while I'm up this mountain, let me get a good look around. Oh, there in the distance. Boom! A shrine. Let me mark that. For nearly everything you do, you get rewarded in some way. Or if you didn't get rewarded immediately, then you find something, mark it on the map with a stamp, and you'll come back later. For me personally, it is the definition of exploring. Even though the world is vast and often lifeless, but in a way that you don't meet other NPCs as often as in other open world games, it does not feel lifeless. You have the situation of the story, that the calamity happened and Hyrule is in a bad shape. This fact fits perfectly in this world because you, for the most part, only meet NPCs in specific locations like towns or stables or, well, interesting locations out in the world. And when you meet them, they often have side quests. There are many side quests, a few mundane but more than enough interesting ones, like the whole questline to build up Terry Town, the one in which you need to find Princess Zelda's horse, or the Monster Shop questline. And the brilliant part, you don't get markers on your map. You need to read and explore it yourself. This enables a feeling of accomplishment when you do manage to find or complete something which not many other games seems to do. The weapons and shields are interesting to use, the abilities fun to try out in combat or shrine settings, and the music is breathtaking in some areas. Still love the stables theme, which I know is a new version of Epona's song. There are a few minor flaws, like the lack of depth in the story or the similar looks inside the shrines, but these are teeny tiny complaints about otherwise a fantastic game. But this should not evolve into a retrospective of Breath of the Wild, so as my conclusion I will say that it is one of the best Zelda games I've ever played. And it gave me something I thought I lost. The enthusiasm for a good single-player game. The magic to truly get involved in a game and to forget about time while playing it. Whew. After I praised Breath of the Wild so much, there are still 2 more games to go. Yep, like I said, it was tough to play some of these games. To be honest, I think depending on where you are in your life, it most likely will fluctuate. But I was more confident ranking 1st place than ranking 2nd to 5th place. But needless to say, my 2nd place is nearly perfect for me. Ocarina of Time. According to Metacritic, the best video game of all time. And objectively, I would sign the paper declaring it as the king of all games. But personally, for me, it is another title. But let's not skip ahead. Ocarina of Time defined a whole genre. To this day, developers create games on the foundation which this game laid out back in 1998. It introduced many 3D game concepts which are no-brainers today. For example, Z-targeting, or nowadays better known as the lock-on feature in many games. It was the first big 3D adventure many of us experienced way back then. Let me paint the scene for you. Christmas Eve, which by the way is the evening of December 24th over here in Germany. A 6-year-old boy sits in front of a big wrapped up square box. What could that be? It was, I believe, the best gift I've ever got. A brand new N64. I was overwhelmed with joy. As a bonus, I received Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64. A pretty solid start for some of the best years I've had as a kid. But I was anticipating this gift. And since the schoolyard talk mentioned a game called Zelda Ocarina of Time, I saved up all my money for this. So, after a few weeks and some excessive days of playing Mario 64, I was ready to get myself this schoolyard phenomenon. I went to the store with my mom. I used my first allowance money I saved up to buy the first physical thing with my own money. What a ride up to this point, and yet there was still more to come I couldn't even imagine in my wildest dreams. Ocarina of Time was the phenomenon I described in my talk about Breath of the Wild. It was something to get sucked into and truly experience it as a big adventure. To describe the feeling to you is impossible. I can't even describe it to myself. It was, like I said, a feeling. Everything was new and had a mystical touch to it. Some of these memories got burned into my brain. I can still remember the first time entering the Deku Tree. Getting terrified by Goma. Holding the Forest Emerald in my hands. Feeling responsible for the Deku Tree's death. Venturing out on Hyrule Field. Getting scared of the skeletons at night. Entering Town Square. Getting nervous passing by the guards in the castle. And so on and so on. I could address so many moments in that game that triggered all sorts of emotions for me. But if I would do that, we would all be still here tomorrow. It's a big portion of my childhood and did everything right for me. The scale of it was mind-blowing as a kid. I don't know why, but one particular moment sticks with me even up to this day. The moment I managed to save up 80 rupees as Kid Link to buy me the Hylian shield. It felt like the biggest accomplishment up to this point of the game. To own this shield and seeing this big thing on Link's back gave me the feeling that I managed to earn something really powerful. I mean, it was so big, Kid Link couldn't even hold it in his hand and needed to buckle up beneath it to prevent getting hit. Now, as an adult, I thought about it. Why is this particularly memory so present in my mind? I think it was something I could compare myself to at the time. The act of saving up rupees and getting something really important was like me saving up my money to buy this really important game, Ocarina of Time. As you should have recognized, I mostly described the emotional aspect of the game. I think there are many videos out there which tries to unravel the mystery behind the success of Ocarina of Time. Also, this just isn't the format for an in-depth look into the game. I recommend King K's videos for that. Everything he creates is well worked out and super interesting. Link to his channel in the description. To conclude my second place, Ocarina of Time is a portion of my childhood, a very important one. You undergo a character development with Link and with yourself. The more you progress into adult Link, the destroyed Hyrule Town, the different temples, the different places, you feel more and more stable on your way to save Hyrule. It all ends with you in one of the most iconic Ganon fights there are. An epic conclusion to an epic game. The grand finale. My number one Zelda game. So I don't want you to wait any longer for this. So let's get right into it. Okay, everybody, calm down. It's just a joke, okay? Even though it is no Four Swords, many of you will still ask themselves, why? Why Majora's Mask is his first place? Because Majora's Mask is the perfect Zelda game for me. And if you ask me, even Nintendo must have had faith in it. Over here in Germany, the cartridge was golden. I don't know if there are any other golden cartridges for the N64. Please let me know in the comments. You start your journey where you have ended it in Ocarina of Time. Navi left you, and she left a hole that needs to be filled. So you venture out to find yourself a true friend. On your way, you got knocked down by Skull Kid, who steals your precious ocarina and your horse Epona. You pursue him and confront him. But something is odd. This mask, the weird behavior of him, it feels wrong. Before you know it, he puts you under some sort of spell, like a dream, where you're chased by Deku Scrubs. You can't escape them. When you finally wake up, you took a good look at your reflection in the water. This can't be. No. You've become a Deku boy? This is a very strange beginning sequence for a typical Zelda game, but it sets the tone for the rest of the game perfectly. Majora's Mask is dark, scary, depressive, and you can't ignore this eerie feeling while playing it. The whole premise of the game is that you need to stop the moon crash landing on Termina. Oh, yeah, Termina, not Hyrule. Some sort of warped alternate dimension of Hyrule, where citizens look like their Hyrule counterparts. But many of these citizens have some sort of importance that they bring into this world. In Majora's Mask, everything happens within a 3-day time span, in which you need to progress in different areas or different side or main quests. Every NPC has a fixed table of actions which he performs, and with your actions you can alter the outcome of it. This adds a weight to your actions, even though after resetting the 3-day cycle, at first sight everything seems to be lost. But key items and songs and so on won't be lost. The game works with the usage of masks, as the title may indicate. Every mask you earn will do a specific thing. One mask will let you become sort of invisible. Another mask will let you run faster. And yet another will let you dance. Everything is connected to a side or main quest, which will let you progress in it a little bit further. At the same time, you'll bond with the people of Termina. You learn a little bit about their fates and their problems, and by helping them, you become more and more a part of this strange world. As I mentioned earlier, this game is dark. Don't get me wrong, this is good. This is really good. It mixes the familiarity of the previous introduced Ocarina of Time with some serious topics. The concept of death, depression, loneliness, or despair are a big part of the game. To give you examples for these 4 strong words. Death. Death is omnipresent in this world. The moon hovering over you, threatening to destroy all life, is nothing you can ignore. Many characters are worried about them dying because of the ever so slowly sinking ball of destruction above their heads. Depression. One case. Lulu, Zora, got her ex robbed by pirates children got kidnapped. This led her fall into a depression in which she loses her voice. Loneliness. The main antagonist, Skull Kid, is also the victim of loneliness. Before he met the two fairies, he was really lonely, and it is shown that this was something which made him downright sad. Despair. There is a scene in the mayor's office which shows the concept of despair pretty well. The mayor is in between two fronts. The people who wants to stay in town to celebrate the Carnival of Time, and the ones who wants to rescue their families and get them out of town. He needs to find a solution for the problem and struggles with it. Also, many people crack up when you speak to them in the last few hours before the moon crash. The postman wants to flee but can't because he won't neglect his duty. The strong sword stringer is seen cowering on the floor, and so on. To talk about more Zelda-like things. The 4 temples are indeed not the most found in a Zelda title, but you don't need countless dungeons if you have a few which are awesome. I even like the water temple. And the stone tower temple is pure perfection. The music, the twist with turning around a whole temple upside down, and the usage of it. Wow. The different zones are so diverse, and each one could be an own land with its own stories, own individuals, and own culture. Ikana Canyon is one of my favorite zones ever. It's barren, it's desolate, and you feel hopeless when you first get there. So it fits perfectly in the overall setting of Majora's Mask. Plus, the storyline with Pamela is something else. If you have played it for yourself, you know what I mean. All of the previous mentioned things combined and more led to an experience I've never had again since first playing Majora's Mask. It got me hooked like no other title in the series. Yes, Ocarina of Time was a great adventure, with you as the game's focus. But in Majora's Mask, the world and their inhabitants are the focus. Their stories and their feelings will get to you in a sad but at the same time beautiful way. And that's why it is, and probably will be forever, my favorite Zelda game. Okay, wow, that concludes my video on my top 10 Zelda titles. I planned it to be a quick video to get myself into video editing, and I think I overshot it a little bit. Also, in between certain clips lays a time period of over a year, and I guess you can hear it. In this time period, well, my mic kinda broke down. The sound of it seems to have changed, but well, it happens. But I'm really passionate about this video. And yet, even talking about these games for, I don't know, around 45 minutes now, doesn't feel like giving them the honor they deserve. There's so much left to say. Maybe, just maybe, I will do an in-depth look into each game in the future. But for today, this is what I present to you. I really hope you enjoyed the video. And if you want to support me, then give this video a like. And if there's something on which I need to improve, or if you just want to tell me what your top 10 Zelda games are, please let me know in the comments. Your feedback is more than welcome. I wish all of you a wonderful day. Until next time. Bye.